Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar from A Place in the Sun as part of our month-long digital event throughout September. Today, we're whisking you off on a property tour of the South Costa Blanca and into the Costa Calida, courtesy of Medland Spain. So let's head over there straight away and meet prominent estate agent in that part of the world, Roy Howard. Roy, how are you today?
Hi, Andy. I'm great. As you can see, I've brought most of the team along today as well. Thought they'd be interested in looking.
Is that moral support you need in the background?
Absolutely. They'll be cheering later on and jumping up and down. You won't.
Okay, well, let's see how you go first before the cheering starts. So where's that office, Roy? Whereabouts is the business based?
We've got 2 offices and 55 people now. That office is our main office, which is on the road that goes, if people know it, from Casada down to Torrevieja on the left-hand side. So it's a fairly prominent, big, bright, colourful building with a Medland on the roof. Can't be missed. But it's not a walk-in type office. We don't tend to have walk-in clients come into the building itself. It's just really meetings and general administration that sit in there most of the time.
And which part of the market do you specialise in then?
We specialise only in new build properties. So both key ready, and the definition of key ready being something that is ready now, built now, and can be moved into straight away, or off plan, which is something that we're ready sometime in the future. So they are the modern contemporary design properties covering the Costa Calida, Costa Blanca South, which is the area down as far as the airport, and the Costa Blanca North. About 300, sorry, Andy.
No, go on, Roy, sorry.
About 350 kilometres of coastline we cover and inland. And there's something over 700 new developments there.
And you've had a busy morning already, I understand. You've still got people coming out despite travel issues?
Yeah, we still get people that basically are not worried about the quarantine. I've had a guy out this morning looking at villas upwards of €600,000. We did one from our UK roadshow last week. So not a very full diary, people arriving on Thursday. But yeah, we are still got people who really relocation people that understand they've got to get in now before September if they do want to beat the Brexit close down that we've talked about so much. So they are still coming over and definitely looking for key ready stuff, looking for stuff that they can complete on prior to the end of the year. Okay,
so just to give some context to this, we're talking about mainly the South Costa Blanca, as we've said, and into Costa Calida. Just start by just talking us through, if you would, this map of what we term the Costa Blanca.
Yeah, I think we split it into 3 areas as far as this is concerned. The Costa Blanca North is the area that is above Alicante Airport, as you look at the map. So that encompasses places like Villaraigosa, Benidorm, Altea, Moraira, Calpe. Very popular areas. Stopping, really, I think our farthest property up is Xavier. Costa Blanca North is much more like the Costa del Sol in terms of the pricing and property types. And a lot of the action that's happening in that area is areas around Finestrat and Pollock, El Campello, because the land there is still a bit cheaper. Most expensive properties we have are up in places like Cumbra del Sol and Moraira, where you can be talking multiple millions for villas that are on the coast and on the beach.
Okay, and the principal airport in the region, of course, is Alicante Airport, but we've also got the new Corvera Airport down in the south here.
Yeah, as we come down further south and pick up Costa Blanca South, starting really at Grand Alicante, areas like Santa Pola, the ever-popular Guadamar and Torrevieja, the closer you come down the coast, and when you really hit sort of Torrevieja, you're then actually smack bang in the middle of the 2 airports. That's Corvera International, the one inland, the Murcia one, and also from Alicante. So it's a nice position to be in because you are physically between the 2 airports. They've also improved the infrastructure recently from Alicante. They've now started running a lot more private transfer buses or public transfer buses apart from the airport bus that runs from Alicante to Torrevieja. The Benidorm Express people or the Beni Connect people have now extended their services south as well. So you can get one of the little yellow minibuses all the way down the coast now.
Is that one of the reasons you've chosen to showcase 3 properties in this area today? Because we're looking at 3 villas in around the €250,000 mark. What makes this part of the world or part of the coastline in Spain so attractive?
I think that the key point about the area that we're talking about here is that the villas that I've selected, are key ready or almost key ready. which is important to the relocation market, because a lot of what I was going to talk about today was the difference between buying a property that is for relocation, ultimately to move to, compared to a holiday home. You know, the holiday home might be your classic apartment in a shared complex in a block. The property you want to live in is where you've got your own front door, certainly your own swimming pool maybe, and that type of infrastructure. That's what we're talking about here today. These properties I've chosen are A, properties that are going to be ready quickly, and B, properties where we have Medland negotiated some discounts because they are key ready. Because contrary to what people may believe, in the key ready market at the moment, some of the developers are offering something I thought I would never say in the new build market, discounts from the normal prices.
Right, okay. So the three that we've chosen, just give us an overview of the first one before we jump in and have a little bit of a tour around that property.
Yeah, we're going to start on La Finca Golf. La Finca, along with Los Colinas, are probably the two courses that are recognised as being the best quality courses in the area. In actual fact, if you look at their Place in the Sun developer pages, we actually have a separate section on there where we feature all of the apartments and villas that are available on La Finca Golf. It is a real top-of-the-range 18-hole golf course. It has a 5-star hotel. It has a spa, good infrastructure in terms of bars, restaurants local on the development and also nearby in the town of Old Golfer. And it is a place where you can very easily live, as well as obviously having as an investment and a holiday home, because you get a much longer season there because of the golf course. It's also only about 10 minutes drive to the beaches of Guatemala. So it's very easy to get down to the beach from there. And the villas that we're talking about here are pretty large in terms of the ability to have both a standard villa and a villa with an underbuild.
Okay, so well, let's jump in and take a look at that one. What are we looking at here, Roy, in terms of bedroom, bathroom, and starting price?
We're talking about two options. We're talking about 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, with the option of both a community pool and your own private pool, because the plots are big enough, they're over 200 square meters. Or the second option, which is predominantly what we've been selling, is to have an underbuild. And into an underbuild, you can put another 2 bedrooms and a lounge. So you can in effect create a separate apartment. And right. We'll see as we walk through. And the video and walkthrough is actually with the underbuild.
Okay, let's take a look at this one first.
Okay. Just really coming into the result from this one, you can see that in terms of it's got both beach and also mountain views, so you can see off in the distance. And these are semis. 2 examples here are one with a community pool. The area in front of the villas is where ultimately they're planning to build a second 18-hole golf course. So they already have planning. Obviously, in the current climate, it's something that they're not building currently. It is already designated on planning.
And how many properties are there on this development, Roy?
There's about 1,600 in total on La Finca, is the current count. It's quite a big development, as I said before, and a mixture of different ages and different types of properties.
And the profile of buyers, does it attract different nationalities, not just British, of course?
No, it really is the League of Nations on there in terms of Scandinavian. Scandis love La Finca. There's a lot of Norwegians, a lot of Swedish on La Finca. It was one of the first places they tended to buy. And you can see from the design that we're talking about here, it's very modern, it's very open plan and contemporary in the design. But of course, as with all the new build properties, the biggest difference remains the insulation. It remains the sound insulation and the heat insulation they put into these properties. And as you can see, they always furnish them quite nicely. The way they take the show houses, the furniture itself, it's always designed, making maximum use of the space. And by the way, unlike the old days, it isn't undersized furniture. I remember the old days of the show houses where they grow the size of the rooms, putting on slightly smaller furniture. Isn't the case. These properties you can buy unfurnished and you can buy complete. This is us now going down into the underbuild.
Well, that's a huge basement.
It's a huge underbuild. It's the same interior size of the property. We've even had one client in this particular one put in a separate entrance, so it is a self-contained apartment underneath the property. But you see, there's a kitchen down there and everything, separate property.
Yeah, almost a self-contained unit. That's There's a lot of space there.
Mm-hmm. And it has its own entrance as well. That's the point about being self-contained. The stairs also come down the outside in through the patio doors. Storage. You can never have enough storage in these places. And also natural light. Again, everywhere nowadays where you tend to see a basement in the new build stuff, it will have its own doors and windows to let natural light in. They're no longer the dungeons that we used to have in the UK, for want of a better expression. They're also correctly tanked now as well for insulation. You go down into an underbuild, it will always be that much cooler than the main body of the house.
And the outside space, which is this that we're looking at now?
This is the terrace on the front, coming off from the bedrooms. And the plot is over 200 square metres. Now, on this particular property, you have both a communal pool and also you can have an option for your own pool. So there will be an element of community fee. If you have a self-contained villa, its own pool, you tend not to pay. That's the golf complex and the hotel, by the way. So it's a 5-star hotel there with a spa. So if you've got your own detached villa with its own pool, there is no community fee here because there is a community, and because there is the golf course, and there is a community pool. Community fees here are around about €600 per annum.
That's pretty reasonable for that sort of.
That's the clubhouse.
That's the clubhouse. Okay. So what are we? Just talk us through the pricing on that property, then, Roy. What's that currently listed at? Is there any kind of discount for the key ready ones that you were referred to?
Currently looking at listing with the underbuild at 257, and we're able to do them at 237. It was one of the offers we gave out at the show. So there's about a €20,000 discount through Medland on that particular property.
So that's €237,000, and that
plus your buying fees.
Plus the buying fees. And what should people generally budget for that in terms of relevant taxes and legal fees, etc.?
On a new build property, they should budget between 13 and 15%, because you have your VAT, which is 10%, your stamp duty in Alicante is 1.5%, and then all of the other buying and legal fees. If you allow 14, it should be comfortable on a new build property. Very slightly compared to a second-hand property.
And just explain again in terms of the community fees. So would you automatically get access there to the clubhouse facilities, or can you choose to be a part of that, or is that included? What's the situation?
With this particular developer, who also own the golf course, they supply all property buyers with what they call a VIP card, which give you discounts off of golf and also off all of the facilities on the development, because they also own the hotel as well.
Okay, thank you, Roy. So if you're out there and watching and interested in this, why don't you fire over your questions? I'm putting the questions that come to me to Roy about this villa in La Finca Golf, but you will see on your screen a Q&A icon at the top or the bottom, depending on your device. Just click that and send us over your question. First one in is from Andrew Patnick saying, will this be on the webinar library? Yes, Andrew, we will edit this slightly and then get it up on the website from tomorrow. So if you want to share that with other people, you will be able to do that. Roy, let's move on then to our second property of the day. Where are you taking us now? We started off in the north of the South Costa Blanca. Where are we heading? Just down the road, I think. Just down the road to a development called La Harada, which comes under the municipality of Los Montesinos. La Harada is quite an unusual area in that it was an area that was, to some extent, at one time ignored by the developers. It was like many people when the actual crash happened. They built all the infrastructure there. They built commercial units. There's a big supermarket. There are shops. There are bars. And over the last year or so, suddenly a number of the developers have rediscovered it. Sorry, Roy. Carry on. Not the right one, is it? I don't think. No. So this is interesting because it's much closer to the beaches, and the views from these properties are beautiful. You look towards the Laguna, which is the freshwater lake of La Mata, in one direction,
and to the famous salt lakes of Torrevieja, the pink salt lakes in the other direction. But again, you're very short travelling distances to the beaches, to the town of Los Montesinos, to places like Casada, and again, you would be travelling down typically to the beaches of Guadalmar for this property.
Okay, and what are we looking at? Bedrooms and bathrooms on this one?
Again, we're looking at a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom detached villa on a 290 square metre plot, so a big plot again, with a pool included, with white goods included, ready again in September, again on a fairly short cycle. And again, sorry, Andy.
I was just going to say, what's this currently listed at, and what are you able to list it at today?
What? Sorry, what?
What price is this currently listed at?
This is currently listed at 272, and in actual fact, we've got 15,000 a deal where it's 15,000 euros off, plus we include the white goods and the air conditioning. They're not normally included with the property.
Fantastic. Let's take a look at this one then, Roy.
Watch for the bedroom on this one. Watch for the master bedroom and the views from the top.
Again, very sleek, contemporary, clean designs.
Yeah, this is different now. In actual fact, behind this property now is where the new Key Readies are. There's another 9 villas been built behind this one, and it's a gated community. So you actually have to come in through a private road to get to. This was the initial show house, and this was filmed about 9 months ago. And they've changed the design slightly as well from this property. So as I say, the land behind it belongs to the builder, and they're extensively building. They're now sold out. They're on phase 3. So always you tend to find on a 3-bedroom property like this, there'll be a downstairs bedroom and bathroom. In fact, downstairs there is 1.5 bathrooms because there's also a guest toilet. Very private, again, the way they build the walls, the way they do the fencing these days. So this is your downstairs bedroom. And a really nice ensuite downstairs. One of these that I sold over here, we did modify and put a bath in this particular room for a client. There was enough room for the Irish clients that I had. Lighting on the stairs, which are the strips. So this is.
And what type of buyer is predominantly buying here then, Roy? People who are, is it holiday home market or relocating, or is it a bit of both?
A bit of both. The Irish guys, again, the couple here have been tended to want to buy now and then relocate in the future. A lot of people are doing that these days. And this is my favourite. This is the master bedroom, which is double aspect.
Oh, that's lovely, yeah.
And then you've got independent exits out onto the front terrace and the roof sill area you'll see in a second. You don't have to go through the bedrooms in order to get onto the roof sill area or onto the front area. There we go. And up. This area. Big area. And just straight in front of you is the views to the Salt Lakes.
And how far are you from the coast here then?
About 8 kilometres to Guadalmar. All that area in front now has got villas on. There are 6 developers now building in this area. So even since this was originally shot, there's another, you can see the original cabin there. They've now got properties. They're building villas on here up to €750,000 currently. And of course, we deal with all of the developers on this particular location. And that's the Salt Lake. So that's a view from the top terrace looking across the salt. And then you've got the town, which you can walk to nearby because it's incredibly flat, where there is a range of bars and restaurants. And golf course-wise, you're still travelling to La Finca, or Vista Baya, or Villa Martin, or Campoamor from here very easily.
Okay.
There's the famous Salt Lakes.
Thank you, Roy. Property number 2. Just remind us of the pricing on that one, please.
This one at the moment, it's on at 262, including white goods and air conditioning.
Okay.
It's ready in September. Not the particular property you've seen. Obviously, you need a virtual tour to look at the actual property. But they're all southwest orientation, these villas. They all have fairly large plots and fairly large plots.
And Anthony Oliver is asking about, I guess, possibly referencing the first one, La Finca Golf. I mean, you're not just targeting golfers with these properties, are you? You don't need to be a golf enthusiast to buy on a development like La Finca?
No, what golf brings is it brings a lot of facilities on the site which are advantageous to everybody. And if you are looking to rent, then you tend to get a much higher yield and a much longer season. So if you're investing and looking at rentals on something like that, you could be looking at between 1,000 and 1,200 euros a week. So we're actually attracting on villas on the Finca at the moment. And it's because the golf course is there, because it's in the vicinity of the golf course. But no, they build properties on golf courses because of the yield.
And what sort of what's a realistic number of weeks that somebody could expect if they were looking to maximise their property for the rental market?
I would hope because of the proximity of beach and golf, you would be able to get about 30 weeks out of a property like that.
How many, sorry?
30.
30 weeks, okay.
The difference is that the golf season is different to the holiday season. The golf season actually starts in September, October normally, and runs through to after Christmas. Whereas the holiday season is a different season because you don't play golf in June and July, or July and August, it's just too hot.
You a golfer, Roy?
No, I'm not. I've tried, and I've got a swing like a barrel of frogs, as my son told me, who's a very good golfer. He's tried to teach.
Right, okay. Stick to what you're good at, yeah?
Absolutely. Although I did used to write for a golf magazine, but that's a different story when I first came to Spain.
Okay, and then the third property we're going to look at this afternoon, strictly speaking, is off the south Costa Blanca into Costa Calida. Tell us a little bit about that area.
Yeah, it's just across the border. It's in a place called Sanfina, which actually as a village is a very mixed population in terms of the League of Nations again. Sanfina has become increasingly popular with people because of the Corvera airport infrastructure. It's much, much closer to Corvera. And the price of a new property, as somebody said on a previous broadcast, is a bit really down to the price of the land. The cheaper the land, the cheaper the property becomes because the price to build the property is obviously controlled primarily by the price of the land. And this here is a development of a single-story property. Now, whenever you have a single-story villa, you have to have a larger plot because obviously the basic footprint of the villa takes a larger piece of land to deliver it. So this is a good example of a single-story villa. And we do a lot of single stories again on a relocation basis because none of us are getting any younger. And there is an attraction to having the large roof cell area and a big plot of land in a single story configuration.
And how far would you be from the new airport from Corvera there to Sanfina? That doesn't look too far?
About 20 minutes across the country. I was explaining earlier on, they have developed a new road which they haven't finished yet, which is going to join Sanfina ultimately on to Murcia, to join the AP7 and the A7. They built it as far as Sanfina so far, but we're still waiting for them to carry on, and also into Murcia, because again, if you had the new road going across from above, where you see the yellow there, Andy, is the new road, is actually the route for the new road down the existing road, which they've cleared and everything. Then you would obviously have a much easier, you'd be pretty central there on everything. You're still only an hour or so away from Alicante Airport here as well.
And very close to the Mar Menor, of course.
And very close to the Mar Menor, about 10-15-minute drive down to the Mar Menor. But also you're very close to the Mediterranean as well, because you can see to the right there where you see the peninsula coming out, just below San Pedro del Pinatar. That is the join between the Mar Menor and the Mediterranean. If you're coming down onto the AP7, again, it's very easy just to move off to the left down to the areas like Pilar de la Horadada and benefit from the beaches of the Mediterranean. You've also got a very large shopping centre there called Dos Mares, which again is in the middle, almost where you can see the 45-minute sign. That's a shopping centre open 7 days a week, and it's got a large shopping centre next to it. And the first of the UK type pound shops, believe it or not, is open there. A shop called Dealz, D-E-A-L-Z. has opened on the commercial development next to Dawson Rest Shopping Centre.
And of course, you've got the famous La Manga strip. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, La Manga strip is predominantly where obviously the Spanish will go on holiday. It's predominantly apartments. It's the peninsula that runs all the way down, and if you're sitting in an apartment there, you can literally see across to the Mar Menor and also across to the Mediterranean. There's also down there in Cabo de Pala, is a very nice fishing harbour, but also a huge centre for scuba diving. It's one of the best diving centres in Europe, where they dive into the Mediterranean, and you can wreck dive and cave dive there. Lots and lots of schools there, and quite inexpensive to dive.
And do you find that this area of Costa Calida is as well known to British market as the Costa Blanca, or does it need a little bit more explaining?
No, it's not as well known. It is a case that it's still the third most rapidly increasing value area of Spain behind Barcelona and Madrid. The land there is much cheaper. In Sanfina itself, there are two styles of villas. There's a Villa Cristina and there's a Villa Xavi. And the Xavi is what we're going to look at. The Cristina is 2-story. But that same villa in Lopagan, which is again down almost where you can see the 45 minutes, 600 metres from the beach, is 110,000 euros more expensive for exactly the same villa. So located in Sanfina, it's just over 330. In Lopagan, it's 430 for the identical property. So the difference.
A couple of questions in on the properties we've seen already. One from Ian. Would there be any restrictions about renting out either of the properties that you've showcased with us this afternoon, either on a nightly basis or a weekly basis? I guess Ian's considering Airbnb type market.
No, in all of the areas that we're looking at today, you do need these days the permit. You do need a rental permit, which the lawyer can do for you. And in the 3 areas we've looked at today, there are no problems obtaining those licenses. So with the proviso that you do have the tourist license from the town hall, where they check the property to rent it out, there are no problems renting out in any of these areas we've seen.
And Heather King's just asking for some clarification on Key Ready. She's asking, so does Key Ready mean new or second-hand properties or both? Why are these cheaper now? Well, I think there's a couple of things she's conflating there, isn't there? If you could just explain that, right?
Key Ready is new. Key Ready is a property that nobody has lived in. Key Ready is a property that you can move into very quickly, in that what you see is what you get in terms of the build. Some people prefer not Key Ready because if you have a property which isn't finished, you can pick your own tiles, your own kitchen units, your own cupboards and doors. Key Ready property is what you see is what you get. It's ready to go. The reason that they're discounting Key Ready properties is they are built, they are ready, and obviously the builder is keen to sell those properties. That's the only reason. They're not in any way any different to off-plan. They're exactly the same properties.
Off-plan would be where you're buying before the property is even built, and then you can specify certain requirements that you'd like in the property.
Yeah, the big difference about buying off plan and the way that they design and build a Spanish property these days is that none of the walls internally on a Spanish property are supporting walls. They're built on concrete. They're built on concrete pillars. So very often, 99.9% of the time when we sell a villa, we will literally redesign it for the client. For example, they might not want a ensuite on the 3rd bedroom. They might want a dressing room. They might want to change the kitchen position. They might want an island in the kitchen. We can make so many changes fairly easily and not normally additional expense to the buyer. In Pilar de la Horadada recently, we completely redesigned a villa, sat at a screen with the architect, and he christened it Villa Julie specifically in honour, because the ideas that the lady came up with for the changes in the property, he then incorporated into the build of future villas.
Okay, so that's for pure off-plan. What we're looking at today, Heather, is Key Ready, which means you can buy one of these and move in straight away, with or without the furniture. Is that right, Roy?
Correct. A couple of ways of achieving the furniture. One is obviously some developers offer furniture packs, as you've seen, for example, in the property on the Finca. That's a furniture pack, which is one of their standard packs they put into that show house. Alternatively, and one very important aspect of new build properties is after sales. We employ 6 dedicated after sales people. All they do is look after the client from me signing the contract through to completion. Not so relevant on a resale property, because on a resale property, what you see is what you get. If you're looking at a new build property, then if things are changed, we've got to make sure that the changes that the developer is putting into place are actually done before you hand over, because invariably we don't get paid until you complete. So we've got to make sure during that process, from buying the property to completing on the property, that everything is absolutely correct, including the snagging. Our after sales people will also furnish as well. So they'll take the client to the furniture stores and agree what they want to go into the property, then supervise installation. Too many agents don't understand that aspect of it. Sorry, Anna.
Yeah, I think it's good to explain that, isn't it? So you've got the developer who's the constructor who's bought the land and built the property, and then you're operating as the agent on behalf of that developer to bring that to market.
Well, it's even more complicated than that, because many developers will use what they call a promoter. They'll actually use an agent to sell the properties rather than selling them directly themselves. So you can imagine you've got you, then the promoter, then the builder in between. A lot of the time, for example, the payments, the stage payments, will be based on milestones. So you'll have initial deposit, and then you have to pay another percentage, which is under bank guarantee, when the roof is on or when the walls are in. It's our after sales role to check that. We're there doing photographs, and we're keeping the clients updated to make sure with the lawyer, working with the lawyer, that when they're due to make another payment, the property's reached the stage it should be at.
Okay, and that's for the off-plan properties. That's stage payment, yeah. And today, all these are the ones we're looking at today are all ready, key ready, and good to go. So let's have a look at property number 3. I'm actually due to a number of comments coming in about us chatting over the videos. Apparently the music distorts a little bit, so I've taken the sound off. I've taken the music off on this one. I hope I've managed to do that, so you'll be able to talk over it. Just introduce this property for us, if you would, Roy.
This is in the town of Sanfina, which is 15 minutes in from the coast. It's a very much a mixed population town in terms of different nationalities, and it's a single-story villa, ready in September. There's a corner plot specifically that's ready in September. They're also building off plan, and the normal build plan time on off plan for this property is 8 months.
Okay, let's take a look.
So single story, large plot, around about 300 square meters here, and a large pool. This pool is not the standard pool included with the property. This one is one in particular they've had made larger. What is standard with the property is a jacuzzi bench that you can see on the pool there. It does have a bubble bench, as I would call it, put on the front there. Even on this one, they haven't finished the walls around yet. This was again filmed very early in the process. This is called a Villa Zavi. And it's delivered in this way. So all of the plants, all of the artificial grass, all of the stones are all included in the price. Same with the waterfall. The crane is an optional extra, by the way. If you want to buy the crane, I'm sure they'll manage to throw it in for you.
You'll arrange to get rid of that, yeah, Roy?
Yeah, obviously, yes. Unusual because this property has a front door and a back door. As with most of these properties, electric blinds, we're using aerothermic type water heating, which is a change in technology from solar. Again, the air conditioning is heat and hot and cold, so it's the main heating and cooling method for the property itself. Master bedroom, these are the two, so this is 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms in standard format. So it's the master bedroom as an ensuite, and then there's a family bathroom which services the other 2 bedrooms. If you're buying off plan, you choose the tiles. This is actually a sold unit. This is a client's property that they're using still as the show house.
That's a large plot at 300 square meters then?
It's a large plot because again, in this area, the land is that much cheaper, and then you can actually build on larger plots, bigger areas. There's two villas here. So this is the Zavi. The other one is a bigger property again, which is the Villa Cristina. One thing you'll see with the new stuff, and it's been the same all the way through, are very high ceilings, making the maximum use of the light, and zero threshold doors. Again, if you look at the patio door there, there's no step to go over. So again, very easy to modify for people with special needs, for things like wheelchair access, etc. They take that into account, even with the fact that they'll include the wider doors in the property. So it's pretty much a standard design nowadays in some of the newer properties. Integrated in terms of dishwasher, washing machine, fridge freezer. But the access to the roof area here is externally. Some of them are internal. This one in particular, you go up the outside to a very large roof solarium, which is on 2 levels on this particular one. That's one level, there's also a second level on the roof solarium. This is where you really need, for example, things like outside kitchen, because they actually pre-install all the wiring and drainage for an outside kitchen to extend your living space. Also, they strengthen for a jacuzzi as well. This is this is mountain views and sea views in this particular location. And then you've got the village. Now, it's in the campo. Sanfina is a country location. There's a lot of outdoor activities in terms of cycling from within the village itself, but there is a complete village in terms of medical centre, garage, supermarket, all the normal facilities, proper restaurants, bars, in the normal way. And that's coming down obviously into the Mar Menor. And that's the Eagles, the famous Eagle Squadron, which is the equivalent to the Red Arrows, who are based in St Javier. That's Hacienda Riquelme Golf Course, which is the closest golf course to the development itself. 10 minutes drive to Hacienda Riquelme.
Thank you, Roy. Looks like you're trying to do some of our TV presenters out of a job there with your tour around these properties. We have a couple of questions in, one from Dave Easton about building guarantees. What sort of warranty structure is in place with a new build property?
On all new build properties, you get 3 years on your snagging. That's 1 year for your initial defects, and then 2 years for anything that makes the property non-habitable. That's from the builder. And then you get a 10-year NHBC equivalent building guarantee on structure, which is independent from the builder. It's an insurance policy, same as you'd have in the UK.
And is that an additional policy you'd recommend they take out, or is that built into the sale price?
That's included. That's mandatory. You cannot sell a new build property in Spain now without offering an independent 10-year guarantee.
Okay. And Tracy McAllister's asking about relocating to Spain next month. She's a single woman in her 50s. She's going with her 4 Labradors. I guess there's lots of British people out in Spain with their pets and dogs in particular, aren't there? Any restrictions on keeping animals on developments like that?
Not the developments we've shown you. Obviously, it's mandatory if you go around places like the Finca that the dogs are on leads. But inside the property itself, no. You can close your door and you can do to a large extent within the confines of that whatever you want. You do have to be careful if your dogs are noisy, because if you are upsetting the neighbours, they can contact the police, obviously, and denounce you, as they say, if you have noisy animals, which is why if you are, sometimes a rural can be a solution if you've got dogs that misbehave, should we say.
Yeah. And somebody asking about mortgage availability. I guess you work with mortgage brokers to facilitate finance for people. This anonymous question comes from somebody who is age 55. Still easy to get a mortgage age 55?
Still very easy. In fact, you can go through to 75 is the normal Spanish age on mortgages, so you can get another 20 years out of mortgage. There's readily availability at the moment. The rates are very low, starting at 1.4%, 1.7% fixed is not uncommon. You cannot mortgage a new build property in the construction phase, by the way. If you're looking at getting a mortgage on a property, you would go to a broker and they will give you what they call an agreement in principle, an AIP. That stands for 6 months, and if your circumstances haven't changed, is normally automatic renewable, and 7 of the last villas I've sold have all been on mortgages. Give you an idea.
So during this period of September, some people choosing not to travel at the moment, someone could actually still make contact with you, be introduced to a mortgage broker, get an agreement in principle, and then they know that that's sort of the financial side of it taken care of. Would that be fair to say?
That's very fair to say. Again, we're doing a lot of those agreements at the moment because it gives people the ability to spend more money. One of the things about buying for relocation, even now or in the future, is that you have to pay a 13 to 14% of those fees every time you buy a property. So a good solution is to increase your budget and buy something which not only is a holiday home now, but also you can live in the future, because you're saving that 14% every time by buying the right property now, rather than compromising. And if you're getting anything more than a couple of percent on an investment, it's cheaper to take a mortgage. But also there's no penalty for early settlement on a mortgage either. So if you want to pay it off in chunks, it comes straight off the capital. So mortgages at the moment are very good value, and we're finding increasing numbers of only UK buyers, funny enough, it only tends to be something in England, are taking mortgages and increasing their budgets and saving that extra money on the completion fees on other properties.
And are these mortgages typically with Spanish lenders? Is that where you point people to sort out mortgage availability?
Well, companies that we operate with can do both. One company in particular we work with both do equity release on UK, but more commonly Spanish mortgages. And you have to remember Spanish mortgages are different. They're not interested in what you're earning. They're actually interested in what you're earning, and then as importantly what you're paying out. They're done on the basis of affordability. They look at your individual financial circumstances, and if you have enough money left, or it's actually a percentage of that money, it's normally a third. If you can pay your mortgage with a third of your disposable income, then they will grant you typically a mortgage. And that percentage varies slightly by offer, the mortgage offer itself, the bank, etc. We do very little with direct banks. Some of the other agents tend to work directly with the banks. We'll tend to do more with the brokers because they tend to get better terms because they have a spread of different suppliers of mortgages. The most recent ones I've done, they've been at 1.8% fixed. There's been 3 of the most recent mortgages.
And what sort of term are people getting?
They're getting up to the age of 75. They're tending not to take it, Andy. But remember, although we talk about 70% loan to value, you don't get 70% because they don't finance your buying fees. So if you take a mortgage, your buying fees are going to go to about 15%. In reality, you're getting nearer 55% on a 70% mortgage. Because as I say, you can't finance those buying fees. People often don't realise that, unfortunately. There's also the thing about life cover. Again, for the initial period, they'll normally insist that you take the life cover with the particular lender, but you can change that. As with the UK system, there's no obligation. But you'll get a better rate if you take their insurances and their life cover.
Okay. Well, let's see what sort of a job you've done promoting these properties today, Roy. We are going to run a quick poll and ask our audience which of these 3 properties they would prefer to buy. We'll run through the discounts and what these sit at the moment with the offers you're talking about, Roy. But we've got La Finca Golf in the South Costa Blanca and Los Montesinos, not too far away, and then a little bit further down, the one we've just seen in Sanfina. So let's see where you'd like to put your money. And it's pretty even.
Oh.
Well, the final one. What were you expecting there, Roy?
I'm surprised at Sanfina, because Sanfina is more of the wild card. That makes sense in terms of being more rural. And I would have thought that probably the one on the golf course would have been the most popular one. There you go. But it's nice to see. But it's nice to see the split, because it obviously means, Andy, we've got the mix right.
Yes, it's pretty even there, isn't it? Really. We've got a question in from Petra Mensch about properties. Are they freehold or leasehold?
There's no such thing as leasehold in Spain. It doesn't matter whether it's an apartment or a villa. They're all freehold. The concept of leasehold doesn't exist.
Okay.
Same as buy to let. Another question normally that follows that is, what about mortgages? is this: do we have to have a buy-to-let mortgage to rent out? You don't. Mortgage is a mortgage is a mortgage. There's no such thing in Spain as a buy-to-let mortgage.
I should just explain for anybody watching this on catch up in our on-demand section on aplaceinthesundigital.co.uk that unfortunately there's a gremlin in Zoom and you can't see the polls. So you're not going daft and we've not gone daft. We did run a poll there. It showed a 33, 31, 36% split. So slightly more popularity for the third property there, but a pretty even mix. So, as a lot of you will know, because you signed up to this event via our event website, aplaceinthesundigital.co.uk, that is where you will find all our exhibitors. And under the Spain section is where you will find today's estate agent, Roy Howitt of Medland Spain. So if you click through to Roy's page for Medland Spain, you will have an introductory video about the business.
You need to share, Andy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Roy. You'd think I'd have got the hang of this by now.
You think you'd know by now, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the Meet Our Exhibitors page. And then if you click in here on Medland Spain, we'll bring you to this page. There's Roy and the team. And you can book an appointment with Roy. So that would give you a Zoom call. Just choose a time, put in your details, tick that permission box, and that will book you a meeting. That sends an email to Roy, and it confirms the meeting with yourself. So there are more properties you can look at here. Just talk us through. We're not going to have time to show those, Roy, but what have we got here on your virtual tours on your exhibition page?
First one is very much an expanding area I mentioned earlier on, which is Pollock, which is northern Costa Blanca. So you can see an interesting video on that one. Second one is a very low cost villa in a place called Benihoffer, which is a very popular area of Costa Blanca North, not far away from the Finca. And the third one is an example of a bungalow on Milpimeres Beach. A bungalow in Spain being a ground floor apartment with a garden and a top floor apartment with a roof cell area. Milpimeres is an exceptionally pretty area. It's an exceptionally beautiful beach down there. These apartments are coming in key ready at 150,000 euros for a ground floor and 170 for a top floor. Built around a community pool.
Yeah, nice generous pool there for sure. There's also a property carousel with a selection of other properties on in the Medland portfolio for you to look through there. There's Roy and some of his colleagues and various Medland brochures about the new build, explaining a bit about new builds and buying a home in Spain and what they specialise in. If you're not ready for a Zoom call, you can just message Roy via the chat here, or you can email him directly. Do you want to give out your email details, please, Roy?
Yeah, my email address is roy.howitt@medlandspain.com. Very straightforward. Also, info@medlandspain.com will also get to the team if it's easier for you to use, which can be referred on to me.
And you're happy to chat with anybody at this stage? I guess it's fair to say that even if people are not ready to fly out for obvious reasons, then you're happy to talk them through what you've got available and share some stuff with them.
Of course, and also if anybody wants a more personal tour, a virtual tour of any of the properties, we're also very happy to do that as well. So if they want us to take them round and do more emphasis on the location perhaps, or the orientation, which is also very, very important normally to the UK market. Where does the sun rise and where does the sun set? And I want to add some other modifications as well, by the way. It is possible on these properties to have things like garages built. One of the most common complaints is it hasn't got enough storage. I want to cover my car up. Again, it's very easy to do carports and garages because on all of these properties, apart from the Finca, there isn't car access because again, they have to provide off-street parking. And therefore, to add garages and additional buildings. We've done it in Sanfina and we've also done it in Montesinos.
So if somebody's happy with what they've seen today, there's a key ready option. If they'd like a variation on that and add in anything from garages or a different layout, then it's the off-plan market they should be looking at and talking to you about.
No, if you're talking about supplementary buildings like garages, etc., they can be added to the property
Okay.
completion, but they have to be added after completion because the specification of the property is defined at the town hall, and they have to be classed as temporary buildings in the way that we build them. They're not going to be brick UK type garages. They're going to be constructed in aluminium and other materials, so that loosely speaking, they're classed as temporary structures.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, Roy. It's been interesting cruising around the South Costa Blanca and into Costa Calida. I think you're actually joining us tomorrow. We have a session on Fuerteventura, Costa Blanca and Costa del Sol with a couple of other estate agents with Spain. You're joining us 2 o'clock tomorrow, I believe.
That's correct. We're going to do pretty much similar to what we do on the hub when the shows are on, I suppose, tomorrow, Andy. Our normal 3-way session with me and Mark and
That's right. Yeah. Well, that would have been the weekend just gone, of course.
It would have been, yeah.
Which sadly didn't happen, but we hope to be back doing our live events in the new year, and no doubt we'll be seeing you there, Roy. So thanks again, Roy. Thank you to everybody for attending. We've enjoyed having you with us today. Any questions specifically about these properties, get in touch with Medland Spain and see how you go from there. Thank you, everyone. It's goodbye from me, and I guess it's goodbye from Roy.
Yeah, goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.